Welcome back. Welcome back. Another episode of From My Perspective on your boy Dion. And you know your boy Q. How's it going? How you doing, Q?
Hey man, another day trying to get Christmas over with because it's costing me a lot of money.
Yes.
It's costing me a lot of money.
Yes. We have a special episode for you guys. We actually have a host. We have JY. He actually has a podcast of his own, co-host of the Big Mountain Podcast. How you doing, JY?
Doing great. Thank you guys for having me on.
No problem. He knows pretty much everything. West Coast, if you're talking about the West Coast football area, he knows pretty much everything. He knows about the realignment. So we asked him to come talk about pretty much the Mountain West, the West Coast, and this conference realignment. Because me and Q, we be trying to keep up with it, but it's a lot to keep up with. So I guess Q, I'll let you ask the first question to our guest JY.
Okay, we're gonna just go straight to it because I found him. I watch him on YouTube. Like I said, I got told him pre-pod. I get all my information from you. So I want to ask you basically right now, who you think is winning or losing? Is it the Mountain West winning or is the Pac-12 winning?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think I guess let me ask, are you talking lawsuit or are you talking realignment?
Realignment just in general before we get to the court battle.
Okay, so realignment, whoever ends up with Boise is winning because Boise is the big fish in we call the G6 pond. I mean, clearly you see what they're doing this year in the college football playoff, the number 3 seed. Nobody had that on their bingo card whatsoever, that any sort of group of 6, we call it group of 6. I know everybody's grouped to 5. We include the Pac right now into the group, not the power conferences. So group of 6, nobody had them that high. So they have a name for themselves. They've done that over decades. They are the big fish in this pond right now for the western side of the country. So clearly they're heading to the Pac. And since the Pac is likely to have Boise in 2026, for that reason alone, they are winning this battle, if you want to call it that. However, I will say they are struggling right now to get anybody else to join them, right? So they only have 7 football members. They've made several offers to which they haven't had anybody join other than Gonzaga, which I'm not going to knock that. That's a great basketball ad, good school there. We're a football podcast, so I discount that because I'm looking for football members, and they haven't been able to do it. So I think they clearly have the bigger markets with San Diego State, being in the Southern California market. They have Fresno State. They have Colorado State there in Denver. They got great markets, no doubt about that. But they're really struggling to kind of round out at least their football conference right now, which is a concern. But from a marketing standpoint, I'm a Mountain West guy, but I also call it as it is. They have the better markets. There's no doubt about that.
All right, let me ask you this. Was it a loss for the Pac-12 when they didn't get UNLV? Because we're talking about markets. It don't get better than Vegas.
And that's why the Mountain West went so aggressive at UNLV to keep them. Keeping them may have, quite frankly, saved the Mountain West Conference from dissolution. And they went really hard at them. UNLV has decided to stay. They're going to be making apparently quite a bit of money here in the next 5 years, being the head of that conference, at least in terms of the distribution from the Mountain West. We'll see if they can continue to put that on the football field over the next 5-6 years. But in terms of revenue and distribution from the conference, they are the winner in this by far. You see a lot of people kind of questioning that. Should they have gone? Should they not have gone? They're getting guaranteed money right now. There's no guaranteed money going to the Pac right now. It's a lot of what ifs and hopes of a better media deal. They are, in my opinion, they're the biggest winner in this entire thing. And that is a huge keep and get. I appreciate you bringing that up for the Mountain West. I mean, they did give them a lot. They had to give them a lot. Air Force Two being a service academy, I mean, they're kind of a tier below. They're getting more than everybody else, but maybe not quite as much as what UNLV is getting. But having a service academy with Air Force brings a lot of eyeballs. We see what Navy and Army do for the American. And those are 2 huge schools to keep. And I'll be honest with you, with the additions, I'm really high on UTEP. I think that's an underserviced market. Yes, they haven't had great football teams here of late, but they have some very avid fans. I think they're ripe to have very good football teams here in the near future. And as I said, I think it's an underserviced market. So I think UTEP is a fantastic ad for the Mountain West from the football side.
Okay. One more, then I'm gonna let you get off. Northern Illinois. It's a lot of. I think it's more of a win instead of a if when Northern Illinois joins the Mountain West. From my perspective, I personally I don't like it, but I don't like it for Northern Illinois because I live in Louisville, so we kind of near the MAC, and I root for Ohio. It's long story, but I root for Ohio for some reasons, and I don't want to see the MAC in trouble. So personally, I don't like it. But what do you think of Northern Illinois to the Mountain West?
Well, there's a lot of Maction fans that don't like this at all, and so I know I hear a lot of that. I will say, at least from what I have heard from NIU fans, the vast majority of them are very excited for this. They feel like they've never really fit in with the MAC per se. They do view this as a step up. I'm not going to judge that and say it is or it isn't, but the majority of the fans that I see think from a football standpoint, they view this as a step up. They hate playing the Maction games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We love it because that's the football games we get to watch on those nights. But they hate it because people aren't in the stands. They feel like it's really suppressed fans coming to the games, their attendance, and even just suppressed what they could be from an athletic standpoint. They just aren't getting the fans. So they're anxious to move to a conference that is mostly, and we'll see if this continues, but for now, they're Saturday games. They have one Friday night game typically, and then they're Saturday day and evening games. I get it. People go Northern Illinois to the Mountain West. How does that make any sense? And today's college football geography doesn't matter. I mean, we see geography is irrelevant at this point. It's about market. It's about media partners, and Northern Illinois hits that Chicago market. And people may say, yeah, but if they don't watch the games, who cares? Okay, they might not watch the games right now, but if they're going to invest in this program and they're going to be on Saturday afternoon, evening, hey, they may start getting a lot more eyeballs than they have now because of the conference they're in. That's speculation. That's what ifs. But I certainly think they view this as a step up. From the Mountain West side, I love it. I mean, they're bringing in an FBS team that has been fairly successful. They've done really well in the MAC. They didn't have a great year this year, but historically, they've been a very strong team in the MAC. So I think they come right into the Mountain West, and at worst, they're a mid-level team here. I think they bring a very solid football team. And there's not a lot of teams to be had. We're talking about what people would call a mid-major, if you will, conference. We call them a G group of 5 or 6 conference. And there's only so many willing to take, we'll call it a lateral or slightly elevated, step to the Mountain West. From the Mountain West side, I love it. But I certainly understand the Maction people that don't, and they don't understand quite why would a Chicago marketed team move to the West. They're going to get more value, and that's what it comes down to. The Mountain West is going to have a higher media distribution to their members than the MAC has. But I also think they like it because they think they're going to get more eyeballs on their team to better elevate their program.
I agree with that. I mean, they might not have the best season, they had an okay season, but they did probably have the best moment of the year when they beat upstate in Notre Dame.
True.
Pretty dope for them, but I feel like the Mountain West has not been getting a lot of respect, or just the group of 5, group of 6 in general, especially when it comes to the players. I mean, there's talent everywhere from Power 4 to group of 5 from my perspective. 2 players in particular, obviously, Ashton Genty, we all know who he is, finalist for the Heisman. But a guy probably people don't know as much about, who I also think was robbed by Travis Hunter. Obviously, Travis Hunter, he deserved the Heisman. I would have voted for Ashton Genty, but I will say I don't think Travis Hunter deserved the Biletnikoff Award, which is the best receiver in the nation. I believe that deserved to go to Nick Nash. I'm sure part of the reason why they didn't give it to him was because he's in the Mountain West, which is in the group of 5 or 6. But the man won the Triple Crown as a receiver, obviously receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and catches. What was your thoughts on Nick Nash being snubbed? And I'm sure you watched him a few times. I watched him a couple of times. Pretty talented receiver. He just seemed like he always found an open spot in defense, even when he was double to triple team. So, what was your thoughts on that?
I completely agree with you. I think that, he is a fantastic receiver. Not only did he win the Triple Crown, as you say, which is impressive for anybody, but if you watch him play, he double team, triple coverage. He would get up and he would come down with the ball. And okay, group of five, power four, whatever you want to call, who he's playing against. I saw some people say he played the majority against FCS. And I go, you clearly don't know football because
Yeah.
the Mountain West is not an FCS program. So why are you even commenting on this? But I totally agree with you. Triple Crown, the dude is a beast. The quarterbacks for San Jose State weren't great. They were okay, but they were literally just, throwing to this guy because he could end up coming down with the ball, kind of like a Marvin Harrison. I mean, you threw it to Marvin Harrison, he's going to catch the ball. And Nick Nash was the same type of deal. I'm not saying he is Marvin Harrison. So for anybody that's an Ohio State fan, no, Marvin Harrison is a different talent. But Nick Nash was similar to that. Like, he was the safety valve for both of their quarterbacks, and they went back and forth on these quarterbacks. It's not like he had some star quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, throwing him the ball. And he made catches that a lot of guys are not going to catch, and quite frankly, took away interceptions that most other receivers would let go for interception. So, am I surprised he didn't get it? No, because he's a Mountain West guy, and they just don't get the respect, as you said. And people don't watch the games. They have no idea what his talent level is. But yes, I believe he was robbed both from a statistical standpoint, and if anyone watched him play, you would know why he is that good of a receiver. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hopefully, he'll be a steal in the NFL draft this upcoming year, I believe. So,
Yeah.
hopefully, he gets his recognition when he gets to the next level. But let's move on to the guy that everyone knows, Ashton Genty. Now, like I said, I would have voted for him. I don't per se believe he was robbed, but I think he deserved it. He should have got it. It's neither here or there how you feel about that. But he got his team to the college football playoffs, and like you said, a
Yeah.
3 seed. What are your thoughts about them possibly making a run? But I, when basketball comes around, March Madness, I always root when my team, when Louisville isn't in it, and obviously Louisville hasn't been in it for a while. When Louisville isn't in it, I always root for the underdogs. I want to say I'm rooting for Boise State. I want to see them make a run. Do you think possibly they can make a run in this 12-team playoffs?
Yeah, with Genty, I mean, we were pounding the Genty for Heisman drum honestly since the preseason. Before anybody really, there was some brief thought that okay, maybe this kid's going to be pretty good. And on our channel, we were saying no, he's not going to be pretty good. Even preseason, we're like, this kid should be able to be on the stage. We were hopeful to see him on the stage. Well, as the season went on, it wasn't about getting him on the stage. It was about winning the daggone Heisman. And they're about, half to 2/3 of the season, it was looking pretty good. And then, it is what it is. The media did what they chose to do. ESPN. I'm not going to get into all that. And I am not looking to trash Hunter here at all. What he did was phenomenal. He's an absolutely beast of an athlete. But I think if Ashton Genty had this season on a Power 4 program, he's your Heisman winner. There's no doubt about that, in my opinion. And that's not taking away from Travis Hunter. I think he did not win the Heisman because he was on Boise. That's my opinion. I think he was deserving, and Hunter was deserving too. Again, I'm not going to sit here and trash Travis Hunter. He's phenomenal talent. In terms of the CFP, yeah, we'll see. I mean, they'll play Penn State versus SMU. Both good teams. SMU's offense is phenomenal. Penn State's defense is phenomenal. I'm anxious to watch this game. I think Penn State's going to be the winner of that game. We did our pick show on the Big Mountain yesterday. Both Steve and I picked Penn State to win the game. I think that happens. And then we've got, the Boise game in the Fiesta Bowl. I think Boise, especially if Genty can get going, I think they can give some trouble to Penn State. I'm not sure they can upset Penn State, but Penn State's offense isn't always very consistent. Boise has shown they can get into the backfield. Their front seven is very dangerous. And if they can disrupt Aller in that game, I think they have a shot. Penn State's running game is very, very strong. So do I think they can win a game in the CFP? I don't think they can. But I think they can make a good game against Penn State or SMU. Again, we picked Penn State to win, so that's why I'm talking more Penn State here. I think they can make it a good game, and I think they will surprise some people. You know, we all saw what happened to Liberty last year, and we hated Liberty getting that spot because I don't think they deserved it. They weren't as good of a team as their record, and because of who they play. That's not the case with Boise. Group of 6 team this year, so they at least got it right. They got the right team in the playoff here, and I think they can give a fight to Penn State. I don't think they have enough to beat a Penn State, but I'm hopeful for a really good game.
Also, obviously you don't have Boise. It sounds like you don't have Boise winning the whole thing. Going through this 12 teams, I feel like this is kind of up in the air. There's no team. There's no 2019 LSU. There's no team like that you feel like obviously is going to win it. Who do you have pulling it off? I mean, some people got Georgia, but obviously Carson Beck is not going to be playing for their first game. I think a sneaky good pick would be Notre Dame. I kind of like Notre Dame to win it all, but who you got?
You're not going to like this. I like the Oregon Ducks. I know that's probably the easy pick. They are a complete team. They have been tested this year. They played Ohio State. And yes, Ohio State lost to Michigan, but that is a darn good team on paper. For whatever reason, Michigan has their number here over the last 3 or 4 years. But Ohio State is a phenomenal team, and they beat them. They beat Penn State, who, again, is a really good team. Dylan Gabriel is a phenomenal quarterback. I think he's the best. I know Cam Ward's right there as well. I think Gabriel was the best quarterback this year in the nation. And they just have the whole package. I mean, they're just rolling on all cylinders. I'm not sure who can beat them. So I got to go yet again. It's the easy pick, but they're impressive. So I'm going with the Oregon Ducks.
Okay.
You got anything else for?
I do. So I want to go back to something you said with Nash. We talked about the game's not being seen as much. How do you think the Mountain West can promote their brand more? Do you maybe some? People hate the MAC games. I love them because it gives me something to do on Tuesday and Wednesday. But would that help the Mountain West if they play games early in the week and not get bogged down by the SEC and the Big Ten on Saturday?
That's a good point. I do think the fact that the big boys of the West Coast are now in power conferences, the Oregon, the Washington, the USC, the UCLA are in the Big Ten. Your Callan, Stanford are in the ACC. So they're playing earlier games. So some of the later game market isn't there like it used to be. So I think it allows for more eyeballs to be on the Mountain West and the Pac if people want to watch those games. So I think the competition maybe is a little less than it has been with the true Pac-12. I'll call it that, the old Pac-12. So I think that probably helps the Mountain West a little bit in terms of viewership moving forward. I hear what you're saying with the Maction games. I don't think it's helpful for the teams. And like I said, NIU, they want out of that. They want nothing to do with it. Their attendance has been hurt by that. They get the casual fans, maybe. And I'm not saying we're casual fans because I watch them too. But I think you get the more the deeper college football fans to watch you on Saturdays than you maybe do on a weekday, just because it's on and maybe they're busy looking at their phone like we all tend to do now. And so I wouldn't go away from the Saturdays. I'm hopeful that maybe they have a little bit more options to get more viewers. And I think the media partners are going to be really, really important. They've been with CBS Sportsnet and Fox Sports. They just added TNT. I thought the TNT coverage this past year was phenomenal. And we see what TNT is doing now, kind of combining their coverage online with Max and also just your normal cable box with the TNT. They're broadcasting them both at the same time. So I'm hopeful that the media partners here, if they get a really strong media partner, and I'm banging the drum for TNT because I think they did a great job with the Mountain West this year. I think
They
that
did.
will also help them, get more eyeballs and not kind of be that afterthought. But the group of 6 teams, they're always going to be the afterthought. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way we're made up right now in college football.
Yeah, that is true. As that always has been. If you ain't one of the big boys, you really don't matter.
Really big too at this point, especially this SEC.
We ACC guys, and we really don't matter. If we won't be honest, we really don't matter. Especially if your name ain't Florida State or Miami and Clemson.
Right. Yep.
Especially in football. And everybody keep waiting on North Carolina to be something, but they've been waiting on that for, I don't know, decades.
Yes.
It has never happened.
Okay, well, since you brought it up, this quick question. Obviously, you're a football fan. You know Bill Belichick. What's your thoughts on him coming down to college?
I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. When I saw it, I'm like, this has to be a gimmick at first. This isn't real. And then I realized, no, this is real. And not only is it real, it's actually like looking like it's going to happen. He just doesn't seem like a college guy to me. Like he seems like an NFL coach that runs to run it more like, I don't say like a general manager type, but more hands off than hands on. But I'll tell you that's where college football is going too. You see these schools now getting general managers for their football teams because of all the business aspects of this. So maybe they're onto something, and I shouldn't be so jaded in that hire. But at first I went, what are we doing here? And we'll see what he can do. To me, he's never been that hands-on coach that will make it happen at the college level. But if he gets the right assistants in there, he doesn't need to be. He'll let them do the work, and he'll just be, the coach on the sideline looking like Bill Belichick, and he's got the name, and they'll get, eyeballs because of who he is. And I don't want to say it was a publicity stunt. I don't think that is the case. But definitely got people's attention. I just find it a little odd.
Definitely got my attention. I immediately ran to Louisville's football schedule to make sure we didn't play them this year because I didn't want them problems. But glad we don't. But maybe we'll see them in the ACC championship game.
Yeah. There you go.
I will want the problem. One more grand screen question before I got to ask you about the lawsuits. So one more question before we get to the lawsuits. What do you think of college athletics now? I hate the transfer portal is open right now between the end of the season and bowl season. So now you get, like Louisville, we done lost 3 quarterbacks. Yeah. So now we're looking at a bowl game, and I don't even know who's going to attempt to start. And then, of course, with the NIL and all of these other avenues and dudes transferring to 4 schools in 6 years, what do you think of the college athletics now and where we stand?
Don't forget about the JUCO new rule for JUCO too.
Oh yeah, that just came down to the new JUCO. Yeah.
It's funny. We talked about this in the off season, and we would have some attorneys on talking NIL and some other things, and of course they called it the Wild West. This summer's now, to me, it's the Wild West, and it'll probably be Wild West next year. I don't see an end in sight. It's craziness that doesn't seem to have any direction. And we have different organizations, NCAA's doing one thing, the CFP's doing another thing. And they don't seem to care because it's all about the money. That's a broad brush, but that really seems to be what this is all about. I don't blame the players at all in this. I mean, we just talked about this on our live show last night, and Steve's a Penn State fan, and he was talking about Bo Prabula, who is the backup quarterback at Penn State. He's entering the portal with his team going into the CFP, and Coach Franklin was like, I don't blame the kid. Like if he has one more shot, Aller's apparently coming back. And is going to be the starting quarterback. Well, if Bo wants to be a starter, he's got to transfer out. He doesn't want to transfer before the CFP. I mean, what kid would want to leave his team before the college football playoff? But he has no choice. I mean, you can go in the spring. No quarterback is changing in the spring after spring camps to have all that time with a new team. So it's just asinine what is happening right now. Steve and I we want to do a deeper dive over the offseason. We want to call a series like Fixing College Football. And, if we were the commissioner of college football and the CFP had to listen to us and the media partners had to listen to us, and a pipe dream, but we want to go down that path. And there's not an easy answer. But I think at the very least, can we push the transfer portal back some, towards the end of December? Steve was using January 1st kind of as that deadline. It now opens in early December. So I think there's some easier things that can be done to help alleviate some of this. But at the same time, these are college athletes, and this is supposed to be an extracurricular type of activity, right? Like, we're so far away from that right now. I know it's funny to even think about that, but they're tied to universities. These kids actually, have to go to class, kind of. And so they have to follow the schedule of admissions and scheduling courses. And that's why some of the transfer portal is what it is, so that they can get into a school and get into the spring semester. So it's a hot freaking mess. And that's one thing we want to look at, is to be like, okay, if we could control everything, what could make the most sense? So unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for you other than to tell you what everybody knows. It's a disaster.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly the correct answer, because it is the Wild Wild West. It is, okay, everybody just do their thing. We're just going to keep throwing stuff at the wall, and hopefully it turns into this magnificent picture like Van Gogh painted.
Yeah.
And it ain't happening yet.
No.
At some point, somebody's got to get on the same page. Because like you said, NCAA is one thing, and then college football is another thing, and they don't even attempt to be on the same page.
Right.
I got to ask about the lawsuits, because it's a lot of lawsuits.
Yeah.
It's a lot of lawsuits. Utah, like I said, Utah State, Colorado State, Pac-12, Mountain West. A lot of stuff, when it boils down, there's a lot about money. And people feeling like they owe some money. Some people feel like they don't owe no money. Just quick thoughts on all the lawsuits. We ain't going to ask you to deep dive. You ain't even got to pick individual lawsuits because it's so many. But just overall thoughts on all of the lawsuits.
Well, you nailed it. It's all about money. It's all about trying to, from the Mountain West side, trying to get all the money that they have agreed to in their contracts. And then from the other side, which would be one lawsuit is with the PAC and the poaching penalties there. And then the other lawsuit is with Colorado State, Utah State, and now apparently Boise State has joined that lawsuit. And that's about reducing their exit fees to the Mountain West. And actually, that's part of the lawsuit that FSU has with the ACC. It's more than just exit fees, as we know. It's media rights and all kinds of craziness. But part of that lawsuit is about these unenforceable exit fees, as they call them. And it's 100% about trying to save money for the people that are bringing these lawsuits against the conferences. Deep dives, if you want to see that, you can check out our channel. I won't go into the details of all of this. But, from the PAC side of things, they signed an agreement. Part of that agreement was, if you poach, if you invite and accept Mountain West teams into the PAC, it was a 2-year look ahead. If you do it in the next 2 years, you owe us money. And it was based on the number of teams that they would invite and accept. Well, clearly we know that's 5 now. And they owe $55 million, according to the scheduling agreement, to which they both agreed to. But of course, the way the game is played in realignment, you always litigate. You litigate everything. So that was the first to drop. I was waiting for the schools to do the same thing. I wasn't sure when that was going to happen, being that they still have a whole nother year and a half to be with the Mountain West. So I'm like, they may slow play this a little bit longer, just because of that relationship. And no, they obviously came out with that here on Monday. And that was not a surprise. I knew they were going to fight, or at least have a lawsuit to fight the exit fees. And that's about 15 to 16 million if they give notice here before June 30th of this year. And, so not a surprise whatsoever. They're trying to save money on this as well. And the Mountain West is obviously saying, hey, you signed the contract and we all agreed to these bylaws and X, Y, and Z. So that's where it's at. It's going to go to court. The likelihood of these things settling before any sort of judge rules on this is extremely high. They just have to agree to a number. It's something between 0 and 100% of the amount. And they're going to fight to try to get it best for their sides. But at some point, they're going to be like, enough's enough. I'm done paying the lawyer bills. We got a little bit out of this. We're done. And a settlement will come. Who knows how long that's going to take? We really have no idea.
Yeah, we never do. When the lawyers get involved, you never know how long this is going to take. Because, like you said, it's going to end up costing more money because we got to pay all the lawyer fees. Because a lawyer on that level is not cheap.
No, correct.
Lawyer on that level is not cheap whatsoever.
They ain't cheap on our level either, but it's just
true.
But I guess you did. That's it, Q. You done?
Yeah, that's all I get. That's all I get.
Thank you again, JY, for joining us again. Like he said, he's got a lot on this lawsuit, a lot more on his podcast, the Big Mountain Podcast. Go over there, please subscribe. Tell him that you came from the From Our Perspective podcast, so he'll know. But again, thank you again for joining us again. Anything else you want to say before we let you go, JY?
Hey, nope. I appreciate you guys reaching out. I love talking Mountain West. So if you ever need another Mountain West guy to come on, reach out. I love doing it. So thanks so much.
No problem. You made us a lot smarter about the Mountain West today.
Yeah, true. Yeah, shout out to Steve too. Let's not leave him out. Shout out to Steve.
That's right. My co-host Steve. He's a smart guy too, for sure. Thank you.
Let's not leave Steve out.
Well, yeah, that'll do it from this episode From Our Perspective. Again, thank you again to JY for joining us, and thank you guys for listening. Again, we got merch. Hit that bio. We got some merch. Please like, please subscribe. And we also have our Twitter account. I just made it this week. Perspective_08. It took me a minute to find the damn name because From My Perspective was taken. But Perspective_08 is what we're called on Twitter. So please follow us on Twitter as well. Please. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you again for listening from My Perspective. Go ahead and take us out of here, Q.
Hey, man, you know what it is. You already know the best. It's your boy, Mr. Bell. Hey, man, shout out to the Mixed Bass Media team as always. We're going to catch y'all on the next one.